I decided to do my video project on the Japanese internment camps. It was one of the most atrocious violations of civil rights for Japanese people in America that had U.S. visas. It was enacted as a reaction to Pearl Harbor, the attacks, and it was ensuing the war. Japanese internment camps were established during World War II by President Franklin D. Roosevelt through his Executive Order 9066. From 1942 to 1945, people of Japanese descent were locked up in these camps, taken from their homes, had to sell all their things in order for America to instill fear. And they were isolated in these camps with sometimes without their families. It seemed to be concentrated on the West Coast, so California, Washington, Oregon, Hawaii. After the attack on Pearl Harbor, Japanese aircraft on December 7th, 1941, the U.S. Department of War suspected that Japanese Americans might act as saboteurs or espionage agents despite the lack of hard evidence to support that view. So they were literally acting on a hunch, and they were basically incarcerating Japanese Americans for 1 to 3 years after the attack on Pearl Harbor. The Executive Order 9066 gave the U.S. military authority to exclude any persons from designated areas. Although the word Japanese did not appear in the executive order, it was clear that the Japanese Americans were being targeted. The first internment camp was in operation located in Southern California between 1942 and 1945. A total of 10 camps were open and holding approximately 120,000 Japanese Americans. The camps were surrounded by barbed wire, similar to the Holocaust, and the fences were patrolled by armed guards who had permission to shoot if anyone tried to leave. People at the camps tried to establish some sense of community. They were allowed to live in groups, family groups, and set up schools and churches and farms and newspapers. So they were given a little bit more freedom than obviously people in the Holocaust, and they weren't so hunkered down, and it wasn't like a work camp, but it was definitely imprisonment. This event was a way for America to instill fear and have discrimination towards other ethnicities other than white, even though they legally were here and they had nothing to do with the attack on Pearl Harbor.